Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Friday, April 28th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. What a night in Kansas City, and for Kansas City. The first round of the NFL Draft was conducted at Union Station before an estimated 125,000 fans. Quite a sight. And the Super Bowl champion Chiefs ended the first round by selecting Kansas State edge rusher Felix Anudike-Uzomah. Today we're going to hear what Felix, Chiefs General Manager Brett Veach, and Coach Andy Reid had to say about the selection and other matters like whether or not the Chiefs considered moving up or out of the first round. There'll be plenty to say about the draft overall and Kansas City as the host, and we'll get to that next week. Today, let's hear from Felix Anudike-Uzomah, Brett Veach, and Andy Reid.
This season, I'm going to come out. And plus, the scheme for Kansas State is not the scheme that's ideal for NFL. So I'm not the type of person to transfer like that. So I told myself if I had a good season, still produce more, I'll come out. And I also had input from Chris Vaughn, Deuce's dad, who's a Cowboy scout. So he was just saying all this stuff about like if I'm worthy to come out again or come out this year, or if I would be drafted or anything like that. So I made the decision, asked my family. They told me to come out. So I just trusted them. I trusted my heart, and I trust in God.
Was there anybody else you relied on for information in that regard?
Mm-mm. Just Deuce's dad.
All right, we'll go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Felix, congratulations. So, you come from Lee Summit, you go to Kansas State, which obviously is local, and now you're staying with the Chiefs. What about this city has made it such a home for you, and how happy are you that you get to continue that and stay in this area?
It's number one love. Remember going to my first Chiefs game back when I was 7 years old. From that, I just fell in love with this. Back in the Matt Castle days, it's funny. Back in the Matt Castle days, back whenever we were like 1-12 and we beat the Green Bay Packers, and we're all excited because we just beat like the Packers at the time. It's a dream come true. Also, I remember me and my friends just went up to training camp just to go watch Kelsey and the Chiefs literally just play. And it's coming full circle, which is crazy, and it's unbelievable that I'm in this position, that I'm a Kansas City Chiefs. So definitely going to celebrate with my family and everything else. And I'm thankful for the Kansas City Chiefs fan because I was one of the Kansas City Chiefs fans, so I know how diehard we are for the Chiefs. So
let's go to Todd Palmer. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Felix, congratulations, man. What's the most surreal part of this night for you? That the draft was in Kansas City, that the Chiefs selected you, and what were you hearing ahead of time about where you might go? Did you think the first round was a realistic possibility, or were you prepared to?
The thing is,
tomorrow?
in my heart, I feel like first round was a possibility. I had other people saying, "Oh, second round, you're a second rounder." People on the media saying second rounder. I saw Kansas City Chiefs post me 3 times, so I'm like, okay, I'm destined to go to the Chiefs. I saw you guys left Frank Clark. Frank Clark was one of my favorite pass rushers. Watching him, and I was just like, listen, if he left, like I can definitely have input for the team. Especially I'm a young rusher, and I can learn from the people ahead of me. So, it was just a wild experience, especially KC and having the draft in KC, me coming out this year. This is all I dreamed of. Like, this is literally, I had a dream of this like 4 times in my lifetime. And it's crazy how I'm living in the moment. I'm literally stepping foot. Tomorrow I'm going to probably wake up and check my phone and make sure that I'm still on the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure it's honestly surreal. And I'm glad to be a part of the Chiefs. I'm glad to be a part of winning culture. Glad to be a part of Andy Reid and everything else. And I thank Veach so much for even having me on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hello, Felix. Congratulations. With talking with Joe Cullen and Steve Spagnuolo, just what was your impression of them, and how do you feel like you'll fit, considering that I'm sure you watched the team throughout your life?
His philosophy is very simple, and I love simple. He said literally, if you can just attack the ball and use your ability, and there's obviously certain stunts like that. And then if you can attack the ball, like he wants you. And he liked how I had a great motor because he likes high motor guys, and he likes everything about like my playing style. So whenever he said that, he was like, "Yeah, once you become a Kansas City Chiefs," and I was like, "Hold on, Kansas City Chiefs?" Like at first I was like a chill, but it's surreal now.
Let's go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Felix, congratulations. If I'm not mistaken, 3 years ago when you were going off to K-State, you were what, like 215, 220,
Yeah.
you've put on like 40 pounds since then and grown so much. What led to that transformation? What was it about it?
The transformation is I had a belief in my heart. I was like, listen, I saw Kayvon Thibodeau. I saw his story, how he was very small and still like had a lot of offers. I saw Chase Young, how he had an amazing year that year. So I was just looking at the film and I was like, I want to be them. I was like, how can anybody stop me from being like them? So that's why I was just like, listen, I'm going to work my butt off the whole quarantine. I didn't play any video games, barely watch any shows. The only thing I did was just watch their highlights over and over and every day and then work out in my basement and eating a lot so I can work on my body and just get anything, tactics and stuff like that. Look at their pass rush moves, how they were like good and stuff like that. So that's what I did the whole time. And it's a dream come true. And all hard work pays off. And I'm glad I did what I did at quarantine instead of just sitting around just watching TV.
All right, we've got 4 more. We'll go right down the line, starting with Josh Briscoe. Go ahead, Josh.
Hey, Felix. Veach just talked for a little bit about how, just being 21, just turning 21 in January was made you one of the younger players in the draft. How much more development do you think your game is still going to have? And are there any specific things that you want to work on in this next phase?
Yeah, the next phase, I want to work on my upper body. I want to work on my hand placement. I want to work on a lot of things. There's a lot of things I want to work on because I'm only 21 years old. So it's just a dream come true. Again, a dream come true. And me being a younger rusher, there's a lot of things that I can get from the older players about like how to perform the next level, what you need to do, tips and stuff like that. So in a couple of years, I can still be a veteran while being probably 23 or 22 or 24. So. And then have a long career. So I'm glad I came out this early, being young. I'm glad I took the opportunity, and I'm glad I'm freaking Kansas City Chief.
Go next to Jesse Newell. Go ahead, Jesse.
Hey, Felix, you mentioned the local pro day the Chiefs had, and Andy Reid said he liked talking to you there. Can you just share some of the conversations you had and kind of the vibe you got from them?
It was just a general conversation. Just me and him were just chatting it up. Asked about his shoes. He was laughing. He told me his best experience in college. Like, we were literally just chopping it up like we're just friends. Like, we had a good conversation. He asked me about my family. He asked me about everything. I asked him about his family, and even kind of little personal stuff. I was just like, hey, what happened with, I heard, stuff that happened in previous years with your family. Tell me some more about that. And he dived deep in. It was just a genuine conversation, and I appreciate that, really.
Let's go next to Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Felix, I wonder if you could take me through your day. I mean, I know you had an event kind of down near the draft this afternoon, right?
I did not mean to do that.
Did you go see the big crowd before you headed out home?
I did. That's funny. Nobody knew who I was. It was funny. I went to go see the big crowd. I have a picture of it, actually. It's so real. I had a picture of it, and nobody knew who it was. I was just saying what's up to everybody. Everybody's like, what's up, what's up, what's up? So if I go back now, they're probably gonna be like, oh, no way. So yeah, I got the experience. It was very genuine. And oh my gosh, I was with Deuce Vaughn, literally my best friend. So we just had a good experience down there.
And the last one is Mackenzie Nelson. Go ahead, Mackenzie.
Hey, Felix, congratulations. I just wanted to ask you obviously got your name called tonight. You've got some of your K-State teammates that could hear their names called tomorrow and throughout the rest of the draft. Did they reach out to you tonight? Were you with them? And what do you have to say to them too?
I was with Deuce Vaughn. And then also I was with sorry, this is crazy. Okay. Also, I was just with Deuce Vaughn, and then Julius Brents contacted me too and congratulated me and thanked me every day.
All right, Felix. Hey, listen, man, we appreciate you taking the time. Go enjoy your night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, this is Blair. There are several ways to access the Star Sports section. Let me tell you about a couple of them. There is Sports Pass. For $12.99 a month, you get unlimited digital access to all of the Star Sports content, including beat writing, columns, features, pretty much everything we write. The deal renews monthly until you tell us to cancel. For $159.99 a year, you get everything the Star has to offer digitally, including sports and the e-edition. Go to kansascity.com and drop down to the bottom of the page where it says Start a Subscription for more information. Your support has never been more important. As always, thanks for reading and listening.
All right, well, appreciate you guys sticking around. It's one of those good problems to have when you have to wait to the end of the draft to make a selection. But needless to say, we're excited to add Felix to this roster. And just want to first give a shout out to the amazing fans that filled the streets downtown. What an awesome sight. What an awesome night for Kansas City. All the feedback I got from all the NFL members downtown working this game, they couldn't be more excited for the turnout tonight. And again, quite an exciting night for us, and excited to add Felix to this roster. And with that, I'll take your questions.
What was the conversation like when you first, called him and, he sees one area of draft coming up on his caller ID?
Oh, no, he was super excited. And, it's one thing, obviously, just to get drafted in the NFL, but then to have a local kid to get that call on draft night while the draft's being held in Kansas City, needless to say, he was really excited. And, obviously the conversation went really well.
Brett, what jumps out to you as a prospect looking at him over the last 2 years?
Yeah, well, we had a chance to see him, obviously, for playing right down the road there in Manhattan. But one of the younger guys in the draft too. I think he's just turned 21, and he's done nothing but grow and develop. Throughout the last couple of years, and we're excited for Steve and for Joe Cullen to get their hands on him now and continue that growth and trajectory uphill. But again, anytime you can add a premium position, one of the youngest players in the draft, and have that to work with for a long time is something we're excited about.
You guys rotate your linemen a lot. Just how confident are you that by maybe day one you get into that regular rotation?
Yeah, no, I feel real good, especially about not just the prospect, but the coaching staff we have. I mean, those guys, great teachers, great coaches, and we had an opportunity to spend a lot of time with Felix. Again, being so close. So again, Joe's excited, Steve's excited, and I think he'll come right in here. And having him next to George now for the next handful of years is something that those guys will quickly develop a bond. And they'll be a good 1-2 tandem there for the next few years.
You mentioned when you guys got on the clock, was he the clear-cut top guy left on your board? Was there a group there that you had to choose?
No, he was the top guy. And, we did have some calls. And I think maybe Coach mentioned that. It's a situation, though, when you have a guy that is, clearly the top guy left, and then, the calls that we had were, you're talking mid-40s. It's a long way away, and then you're going to end up just trading those picks to try to get back up and get a guy like Felix. So we thought, let's not get cute here. There's a guy we like, position that we need, and we'll just go ahead and make the pick, and certainly glad we did.
What about possibility of trading up earlier in the round? How close? Were you close at all?
We had conversations, and some of the teams that we spoke to earlier in the day, I mean, the price was pretty steep at the time, and then there was a window, I think, minus the Bills moving up 2 spots with the 4, there was conversation that we had with teams, but when it was their time to pick, they were staying. They weren't trading. So, Jacksonville had that small move with Buffalo there at 4, and the teams around, they were not interested in trading. And then teams higher than that, the asking price was a lot, and having picks the next couple days, having a 2, 3, 2 4s. We still want to deal in volume here. We want to get some good players, and we just thought it was the best to keep those picks and to have Arsenal the next few days.
Right. You mentioned some of these. You mentioned just the premium position. Did you go into this draft saying got to get an edge rusher in the first X amount of rounds or anything?
Well, I think, just looking at our roster, I mean, there were check boxes that we wanted to address throughout the weekend. And, whether that was defensive end or a skill position or offensive line or what have you, we just wanted to come away with one of those premium positions right off the bat and then work from there and see how the board goes. But, again, when we were sitting there at 31, I mean, he was the top guy on the board, and it made that decision easy.
So did he rise up your board specifically because of your need or because of his position?
Well, he was on, or are you asking if he rose as the draft was going on, or no?
Even before the draft,
yeah.
Was it more based on where your need or just the player himself?
Really, the player himself. We're going to set our board, and our board is going to stay locked in, and then we're just going to follow the board. And then when we get to our pick, I mean, it's pretty easy. I think when you sit that board and stay true to it, and when you get to your pick, you face that a decision of take the highest guy on your board or trade down, and again then you're looking at a scenario where you're just probably trying to trade back up to get the same player. So he was a top guy on the board. He was positioned in need, so it made sense at the time. And again, certainly excited for the next few days and the additional picks we have coming up.
Brett, how do you feel now about that group of guys you have on the edge?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it's a good group. We got a lot of young guys now. We brought in Charles, and we have some flex with Charles, and now we have George. Felix is in there, and certainly with Chris. Turk Wharton's coming back from an injury now, so we're excited to get him back, and he looks good. So, again, you can't have enough depth on that defensive line, and that's something we're always gonna look to add, and so we're excited to add Felix tonight and get ready for tomorrow and for Saturday.
Brett, you mentioned some of the excitement from Joe and Spags about getting Felix. What is it about Felix that excites them, and even what excites you about having him on this roster?
Just the motor, the relentless effort. Again, a guy that had a ton of production at Kansas State, and as I mentioned, just turned 21. So a majority of this production was coming in a big time conference at 19 and 20 years old. So I think every year he's been there, you can see the growth and development, and being so young, still think there's a huge window for him to continue to grow and develop. And we're excited that we get him at this stage of his career and being so young. Got a lot of years to work with him and continue to grow and develop him.
Brett, it seemed around. Andy credited you for having discipline tonight. How difficult was it to maintain discipline?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're just trying to calculate, and when you're on the clock there, and teams are trying to trade up there right at the end, just trying to read the board. And I think it wasn't that hard, just because again the trade offers were so far down in the mid 40s, where you just try to quickly do the math in your mind and think about the board and how it's likely to play out tomorrow. Just the fact of the matter was, it was just a matter of us having to use a lot of those assets to go right back up. And sometimes when you get too cute, you just miss out on a good player. So we just wanted to sit there and do what made sense, and that was just make the selection.
How many guys did you have first round grades on this year? And was Felix one of them?
I think we had, a handful of guys, 16, 18 guys, and, Felix was right up there in that list. I mean, these lists are different depending on whether or not you count the quarterbacks, right? So, we have a little different model that we use just to kind of project where guys are going to go and what we're going to do. But, I think all these teams, by the time you get to the 20s, you're picking on guys, though, that, if they're not first-round value picks, they're high twos. So, these drafts turn into, first-rounders are 15, and then even the picks at, 25, 28, 30, they're right there. So these values are all the same when you get to pick 31.
Fred, it seemed like around 20 there was that wide receiver run, and then a pretty meaty positional fit maybe for the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
That how did the strategy change maybe like during that point? And was there temptation to maybe overspend and try to get someone in that window?
Yeah, I mean it like you said, Pete. The run was there with the wideouts there, and we had gotten out in front of that, though, and I think we kind of knew where the market was, and obviously, there were a few teams that were up there that were AFC teams, and they weren't interested in talking to us and trading with us. And after you get locked out of there of not being able to trade, then it comes into we will do it, but it's going to be the asking price is going to be even more than what you would think. So, just one of those things that you just got to stay disciplined and know that the object is to fill out a deep, talented roster, and you have to work with the strength of numbers. And obviously, our guys do a great job of identifying talent throughout the course of the draft. And so, I think that's the part of just being disciplined there. You could be too aggressive at times, but when teams want. It's a little bit tougher sometimes when you're dealing with teams in certain positions that are in your division or conference or what have you, or teams that you're likely to play that the asking price may be more. So we were aware of that, and then it was just a matter of doing what made sense for our team in the long run.
Brett, he seems like a pretty durable player given the last 2 years. I just wonder if that was an element of it too, and if the medical situation was minimal, I guess, compared to maybe other.
Yeah. Durable, healthy, young, and again, a guy that plays a premium position, a guy that has continued to grow and develop, and again, had a lot of exposure of seeing him a ton and got a chance to meet with him on multiple occasions. But certainly that played into it. And again, a ton of production for a guy that really did the bulk of that work at 19, 20 years old in those big-time conferences, going against some really good tackles the last couple of years. I mean, a lot of these guys have gotten drafted early and played early, and they've had success in the NFL. So, sky's the limit there, and with our coaching staff, we're excited for him to come in here and continue this upward trajectory.
Last one, Herb. Coach, Brett, with first round in the books now, and then you just reset your draft board for day 2 of the draft. What would you say your priorities are going into day 2, specific to wide receiver, maybe even offensive tackle?
Yeah, I think with maybe Herb, you can make a case for other than the linebacker. I think, again, I've been down this road a few times, and you may go into a season and thinking that you're good at a position. Then, a couple of years ago, I think our first Super Bowl run in 19, we lost 3 defensive ends, within a matter of 3 or 4 weeks. So you got to plan and prepare for a 20-game season, hopefully, and I think when you have that mindset, these guys that line up and start week 1, they never end up, being the same starting lineup week 17, 18, 19, 20 into the playoffs. So, other than positions, I think that we just have numbers and there's just not enough play time to go around. I think, anything's on the table, whether it be offensive line, more defensive line, cornerbacks, receivers. And that's where I think you just stay true to the board. And when you have a guy that, when, the value fits where you're picking, and, other than you can make case for linebacker, I think anything would be on the table for sure.
Go ahead, Brett, last week I believe you mentioned about the wealth of defensive backs in this year's draft, and just listen to that from what you said. Obviously, you spent a lot of premium on defense and defensive backs last year. Is that still in your thought process, the position of need as it relates to depth that you talked about?
Well, I think it's an opportunity where it's a one of those, premium positions, and I think you're going to find a lot of guys that are super talented and come in right away and not just make the team, but push for playing time. So anytime you have one of those positions and you have a lot of depth in numbers, and I don't think you discount, well, maybe you need another this or that when you have a guy that you think is, like tomorrow if we're picking at 63 and there's a guy that, we felt is a second-round talent cornerback and, he's on the board, I think, you'd stay true to the board just like we did tonight.
All right, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Felix, and Felix is a heck of a player from Kansas State, defensive end. We love his ability to rush the passer and play the run. He does both very well. He's also a Kansas City native here, so we appreciate that part of it too. But most of all, a good football player. When you're picking right there at 31, you try to take the best player that's available to you on the board. And he was that guy, and so we feel very comfortable bringing him into our program. Great kid. Had a chance to hang with him here during our local pro day, and enjoyed talking with him and visiting with him there. So that time's yours.
What was the conversation like when you placed the call and, on his end, they're seeing, whatever head drive coming up across the call right here?
Yeah, so Brett called him initially and talked to him. By the time I got to him, he couldn't hear me, I couldn't hear him, so I was just passing the phone on. But he was obviously at a party. There was a party going on there. Yeah.
When you draft a guy like that, how much is Spags in your ear about how he fits with what he likes to do on defense?
Yeah, no, Spags and our defensive staff did a great job of sorting all these guys out. Joe Cullen and is relentless with the value. He evaluates everybody. You just give him somebody. You find somebody that says defensive line on, he's going to evaluate him. That's Joe Cullen I'm talking about. So he loved him. Spags loved him, and it was pretty easy decision right there.
And what do you see as his readiness? How close is he to being able to help you out right away?
Yeah, no, I think he'll definitely, I think, be able to, bar an injury or something like that, Adam, but I think he'll be able to help us right away. Yeah.
In both phases of the game, pass rush, run down.
Yeah, sure. No, I think he can give you a good amount of snaps in both places.
Andy, how much was obviously his position as a premium position in the league? How much of your guys' thinking was attacking that rusher in this first round versus that's just the best player that you had?
Yeah, well, we kind of start there in the offensive line and check those out and make sure we're in good position in both. And we thought we could use another defensive lineman, either interior or an edge rusher and or an edge player. And so he fits into that.
Do you feel like this time of year, in comparison to the last years, and I realize you might not be able to count those off the top of your head, but just that need feels maybe less severe than other times in the draft?
Yeah, I'd probably tell you yes. I feel that way. Yeah, but what you want to do is you want to bring in guys that can play, but also have great competition. That kind of makes everybody better. In particular, when you're down there low. I thought Brett did a great job of staying disciplined with what the board was showing him, and not going somewhere of just absolute need. So, and some of that's because we don't have a lot of those.
Fair to say you see him fitting in the role Frank Clark used to have in that Leo, kind of opposite where George played most last year?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where he's most comfortable, what side he's most comfortable on, and go from there. But I think he'll work in. We'll have a nice rotation there, I think, once it's all said and done.
What Joe Cullen was able to do with George last year and how productive he was down the stretch, just how confident are you that he could maybe do the same with Poole Davis?
Yeah, I think listen, I think you get that same play time amount from him. Again, we'll just see. I mean, that's a long ways away, but we felt comfortable enough in the first round to take him and not trade ourselves out of the first round, which we had opportunities to do, but we felt we wanted to stay right there and take him.
Coach, you said when you had the local pro day, what did he do that stood out that, from the rest of the local talent that you decided to go in that direction?
Well, he didn't work out. He stood right next to me. So, he didn't. He came up just to kind of talk to us and didn't do his workout at that time.
Andy, last year, George Karlaftis was known for playing a lot of snaps, being durable in his college career. Felix seems to have the same sort of makeup. Just how much of that is a benefit to the scouting and obviously getting enough tape to see what he can do for Spags and Joe Cullen?
Yeah, I think that's, that was big for that part of it. I know our guys came out feeling very comfortable about the way he plays, and I think I'm answering your question there, but I mean, I think the guys, they felt comfortable with all the stuff that they saw there. Yeah.
He just turned 21 in January. How do you guys kind of see him evolving over the next few years?
Yeah,
What you work on?
Yeah, he's young. Listen, you're going to see growth in that first year, and probably a little bit less the second year, but you'll still get some. I mean, that's normal. Again, I'd like to get hands on him before I start filling all that in, right? Herbie, are you okay back there?
I'm okay.
I mean, he just stepped right in your way to take the picture.
I know. He's okay.
Don't get upset.
I'm good.
Matt, go ahead, bud. Coach, just looking at the human element, the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl, the draft is in Kansas City, and you just took a Kansas City kid. Just how special is that?
Yeah, I think it's neat. And then, the draft's right here in Kansas City. I know the people down at the draft were excited. We had it on the TV, and they were fired up about it. So Kansas State, Kansas City, it's and then the draft. I think that's a real positive. I was proud of our fans. I mean, they showed up like crazy today down there. That was a neat deal.
Andy, you said you had opportunities to trade out. I mean, did you seriously consider that? And I just wondered if Clark had any, pull in that situation to want to announce that person that they're down there.
Yeah, well, I don't think he would have risked that, if we felt like we wanted to trade out. So, but you get to that point, and people, if you're that pick, you're going to have opportunities to trade out. And so people were calling us. But we felt very comfortable taking them.
That will do it for today and this week on SportsBeat KC. Thanks to producer Randy Mason and our staff of Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, and Scott Chasen. Today's morning sports edition was 41 pages, full of complete coverage of the draft in Kansas City, the Chiefs, and the NFL. Check it out at liveedition.kansascity.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with another SportsBeat KC, where we talk sports in Kansas City every day.